Hello there guys, it's Captain Invisible here and welcome to another commentary battle for Medieval 2 Total War. This was one of two very interesting 2 versus 2s I did with some very interesting tactics involved in it with these 4 players. We've got myself playing as England, Pure-Nub playing as the Turks, and we are going up against Lancelot14 playing as Scotland, and gaultieruzzo playing as the Byzantine Empire. So, as I say, this battle involved a quite an interesting tactic. I kind of come across it before, but usually it's in a 1 versus 1 sense, but seeing it in 2 versus 2 makes complete sense because it's just one of those tactics that suits 2 versus 2 battles better. So I am playing as England, and as you can see, funnily enough for England, I've brought no missiles. This is an England rush army, which is a bit odd, but I'll explain why in just a second. So up front I brought 2 units of billmen, and I've also got 2 more units of billmen in the cavalry over here, just to support the cavalry fight. I've got 3 units of dismounted English knights up front, backed up by 3 units of mounted English knights. I've got 5 units of armoured swordsmen behind them. An expensive choice, but it'll make micromanaging them a lot easier. My general's bodyguard in the back, and then 2 units of mailed knights on this flank. I think it was a low money game, hence the lack of any upgrades. But yeah, not a bad army, and the reason why I didn't bring missiles is because when you pick England, a lot of people do expect the longbow, the longbows. So I didn't want to. I wanted to try something a bit different, you know, an English rush, and just to throw our opponents off their games a little bit. And my ally, Pure-Nub, has a lot of these Alan light cav and Sipahi lancers. So yeah, a lot of light cav there. And then he's brought a lot of these spearmen, spear militia, dismounted Sipahi lancers, Saracen militias, and then he's got some Azarbs in here as well. 4 units of Nafatoons, or 3 units of Nafatoons and an Afghan javelin men, and then his general's bodyguard. So a very strange army. But it will make complete sense when you understand the tactics behind it. So over to Lancelot. He has brought with him, let's see, a lot of dismounted feudal knights, I believe. 2 dismounted feudal knights, 2 Galaglike, 3 about 3 or 4 of these Galaglike. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5 Galaglike infantry. 6. So 6 Galaglike heavy infantry. And then 2 more units of feudal knights. So very heavy on these axe wielding Irish men, Irish mercenaries. And then he's got some pikemen mixed in here, I believe. When it will let me see them. I think they're just the Highland, yeah, they're just the standard Highland pikemen. He's got about 3 or 4 units of them backing up his centre. His cavalry is a general's bodyguard, and then it looks like maybe 2 units of feudal knights and a unit of border horsemen. And then I believe he's got some more over here, maybe 2 more units of the border horse. So over to gaultieruzzo. He has some peasant archers up front, backed up by 2 units of Byzantine spearmen. His cavalry, he's got 2 units of cataphractoi, 2 units of Latincon, sorry, 3 units of Latincon, and his general's bodyguard, and then a nice infantry line with some Varangian guard, Byzantine infantry, and that's about it. So no Latincon, no dismounted Latincon, just Varangian guard and Byzantine infantry. The Byzantines can bring quite nice infantry, so it's got quite a nice infantry line there. So yeah, we shall start the battle, and I shall just go over the tactics behind this battle. So this battle has been dubbed by myself as the sword and shield tactic. So what it involves, as you can see, is overloading one flank with as much cavalry and heavy infantry as possible, and you use that as your sword arm to rush forward and destroy one player with as much overwhelming force as possible, whilst the other acts as the shield, guarding one flank and drawing as much force over as possible and just holding one flank in place. So the sword has been deployed, and we're going to take these Latincon out with our English knights, and we've got Pure-Nub assisting against the Byzantine cav fight over here. We've got our billmen in the cav fight as well, doing some damage, and we've even got some cavalry through to the infantry. So the overwhelming force of the sword tactic is showing here. Some nice recharging against the infantry and just basically causing as much disorder on this flank as possible. Just basically cracking it open as quickly as possible, so that we can then get to this juicy rear of the Scottish forces. We do have some billmen routing over here, but we can quickly support with our general and guard this flank. The rest of the fight is going pretty quickly in our favour. We've got cavalry free doing rear charges, and we've got Pure-Nub assisting wherever he can with his cav. So the overwhelming force of the cavalry on this flank is going to crack it open, and we're going to be able to be freed up then to assist where necessary. We do have some Scottish cavalry support coming in, but it's unfortunately been blocked by the Varangian guard, so our own English knights can come in and give them a charge.
Only half the enemy force remains!
So this side breaks completely. The overwhelming force of the armoured swordsmen has cracked this flank, and now they can come over to this flank to assist the rest of our forces. We've got more Scottish cavalry coming into this flank, but it is pretty much too late at this point. There's not much left of the Byzantine forces, and the Scottish cavalry now is just getting caught into infantry fights against these two-hander units, which are going to hack them down. As you can see, the Turkish infantry is starting to waver and break, but what it's done is it's held up all these Scottish forces and allowed me to break through the Byzantines with few losses, and obviously the longer the Turks hold the rear of the Scottish force, the more threatening my infantry starts to look in their rear.
The enemy general lies dead. We've sent the base,
and there's the general down to a Nafatoon throw. I completely forgot that happened, but it's a nice little move there. So now the Scottish forces have their rear to my infantry, and this is obviously a situation that they really don't want to be in. my English knights and billmen have got into the rear of the Scottish army, hung up on these spearmen, and they're going to break. So pretty quick, overwhelming battle on my side. It's the job of the sword-armed player to really hit home hard, and that's exactly what my English infantry's managed to do.
We must help his men avenge him.
Unfortunately, Pure-Nub has lost the majority of his forces, but he does still have his cavalry, which was over at my side assisting. So with overwhelming cavalry superiority now, we are going to be able to overwhelm these Scottish infantry and start beating them into submission. So these poor feudal knights are besieged on all sides with infantry, and they're even getting demolished by Naffatoons as well. It's not a great position for these poor Scotsmen to be in.
Our foolish general has thrown his life away. Perhaps our chances of victory with it.
My general decides that my army doesn't need him anymore, so he's going to die to a pike unit. So, yeah, that's pretty much the tactic. Pure-Nub did his job here very well, acting as the shield, and then as you can see over here, I just broke through the Byzantines quickly with his cavalry support, and then I was able to pull back and attack the Scottish rear before he had a chance to redeploy. And that's basically the tactic behind the sword and shield. It was a tactic created by Pure-Nub, so I hold no rights to it. It was his tactic, and I think it's a very interesting one for 2 versus 2. Definitely relies heavily on teamwork. So yeah, very interesting battle. I shall go over the results, and then I shall take you into the next battle, which is the basically the counter to the sword and shield tactic. It was the game we played directly after this one, and I got a chance to go up against the sword and shield. So you'll see how well we kind of do against it, or poorly. I mean, it's definitely a tactic that is very good if you've got good teamwork to go with it, and certainly all of these players are more than capable of doing good teamwork in these kind of battles. So yeah, those are the statistics. I won't go too deeply into them because they are there, but we shall just have a look and see which one of our units did well. We've got a male knight unit that got 85 kills. That's impressive. All our cavalry doing pretty well there, and then a lot of these heavy infantry doing well as well. And the billmen obviously not doing too great, but they were more of a supporting unit for the heavier infantry and also the cavalry. So yeah, I think this was a high period battle as well. So, and pretty low money, so it's quite good for that kind of setup as well. So yeah, I shall leave this part here, but I shall take you into the next battle shortly. So stick around and we shall jump to the next battle. Hello again guys, it's Captain Invisible here, and welcome to the second part of this video relating to the sword and shield tactic. So I'll just jump straight into it, just quickly going over my army. So I brought 2 units of the Pavis spearmen, backed up by 4 units of dismounted chivalric knights and 3 units of the battlefield assassins. You don't see these guys that often in multiplayer. It was a high period battle, so I think I felt I had to bring these guys just to bolster my infantry. I've got 3 units of the chivalric knights, 2 units of the Hungarian noble horse archers, and then 3 units of these Croat axemen just to back them up, and then my general's bodyguard, and my ally is going to be Lancelot for this battle. We were against him in the last one, so we decided to switch up, and now he's on my team. He's got, I believe, 5 units of these Druzina heavy cavalry, general's bodyguard. Looks like he's got some woodsmen, and then a line of, I think he's got a line of woodsmen and a mixed line of woodsmen, British axemen, and the dismounted boyar sons. I'm not sure how many he's got in this maps, but he's certainly got a lot of infantry and no archers. In fact, neither of us have brought archers except for my horse archers, so we are going to rush into this battle. The tactic... sorry, let me go over the enemy's forces quickly. So I've got gaultieruzzo on my side again, and he's got looks like 3 units of peasant archers. He's got 3 units of men-at-arms cavalry, a general's bodyguard, and 2 units of mounted sergeants. He's got some religious fanatics and sergeant spearmen on this flank. 2 units of religious fanatics. Then a line of dismounted men-at-arms as his heavy infantry corps. And then some more religious fanatics and sergeant spearmen on this flank. And then Pure-Nub, again, looking like he's going to do his good old box tactic with his spearmen all prepared. He's brought a lot of these Mamluk cavalry, fairly light, heavy cavalry, so they'll be quite fast on the battlefield. His general's bodyguard, and then some Nubian spearmen with some Saracen militia on this flank, and then a centre of Tabarderia and some Nafatoons. So yeah, it looks like he's going to form up his box and then use his cavalry to support on gaultieruzzo's flank. So we shall start the battle in slow motion this time, and I shall just go over the tactics behind behind the plan. So the plan was for me to deploy further over this side, and then have Lancelot basically join me in attacking gaultieruzzo. We wanted to avoid Pure-Nub's box as much as possible, because if you get hung up on it, it becomes a problem. You know, you're best just avoiding it completely and just smashing one player, and then you can deal with the box together. That's the way you beat the sword and shield, and we'll see if we can manage to do that in this battle. It does involve, obviously, Pure-Nub doing nothing, and I don't think he's going to want to do nothing whilst his allies getting beaten up. So we shall see. We'll go back into normal speed and see how we deal with the box this time. So we've got Lancelot moving up. Looks like he's lining up to take on the enemy cavalry, actually, whilst Pure-Nub is actually going to move his box over and deploy it a little ways in front over here, I believe. Yeah, you can see him just starting to set up these Nubian spearmen. So he's basically using it to completely phase out Lancelot. But Lancelot isn't gonna rush straight into this. He's gonna want to flank it as much as possible. We've already got the enemy cavalry coming in. They're gonna possibly go for a strike on this flank, but I'm gonna send my Chivalric Knights over to try and take them out. They're already steaming in. he's going to get off some fire arrow shots against my shipwreck knights, but they are very heavily armoured, so it's going to be less than effective. Then we've got our Hungarian nobles taking some shots against the mounted sergeants over on that flank. So the Mamluks have been hung up on some Drazina, and I'll be able to send support over there as required. But I do a nice, powerful Chivalric Knight charge into the front of these peasant archers and the Mert Arms cavalry, and then I'm going to be able to bring my infantry in hard on this flank and hopefully crack it open whilst Lancelot divides the gaultieruzzo's attention over on that flank as well. So as you can see, the tactic is basically to divide gaultieruzzo and have Pure-Nub just sit there in his nice little box awaiting for his chance to strike.
Dead. We have sent the Cur to hell.
So we've already killed the Papal States General, and that's going to have a really bad effect on the Papal States army's morale. The Papal States and as well as the other Italian factions just don't do very well in terms of morale anyway, so to have them lose their general so early is going to be a huge blow to them. The infantry fight has begun. My battlefield assassins are going to tear through these religious fanatics. And we're going to get some strikes against the men-at-arms, dismounted men-at-arms, and get our Chivalric Knights into them, where they can hopefully hack them down. Over on this flank it's turned into a messy fight. Lancelot has got caught up on these Egyptian troops, but he's pushing more this way to try and take out the rest of the Papal States army. Overwhelming force on this flank has broken the religious fanatics and sergeant spearmen, and now we can surround these dismounted men-at-arms and hack them down. And as you can see, morale is becoming a bit of a problem for these Papal States troops. Without their general, they just don't have the morale to stand up in prolonged melee against my disciplined Chivalric Knights. And with all the chaos that's going on around them, I think they feel a bit surrounded and a bit helpless. So that is the Papal States flank pretty much destroyed, and now all that's left is this semi-box of Pure-Nub to defeat. It's still a very dangerous proposition. He's got some Nafatun still in the centre of it, looking to bombard some of my troops. I just hope he's looking to bombard my weaker Croat axemen instead of my more expensive dismounted knights. It looks like he's going to rip into these Pavi spearmen with some Nafatun fire. So these Nubian spearmen are trying their best to defeat the battlefield assassins. But we've got some dismounted Chivalric Knights into the fight now, and we've got some of the dismounted Boyarsons from Lancelot.
The enemy are badly blooded. They have lost half their men.
And this is where the box starts to fail. it was a good tactic in the first game simply because Scotland was getting hung up on it too much, and it was holding really well, and I was able to break through my side really quickly and assist the Boks in defeating the Scottish. But here it's turned into a semi-box shape, and the Russian cavalry is now able to get into the flank of all these troops and really do some damage. So it's kind of turned into a reverse of what the other battle was. In the other battle, the Boks assisted in surrounding, whereas in this battle we managed to surround the Papal States, avoid the Boks, and now we've been able to surround the Boks and destroy its morale.
Be merciful, we have lost half of our
as you can see, we just get a mass rout of these Egyptian forces. They're struggling with being surrounded, and the quality of our troops is really showing in this battle. The Papal States morale was just too poor to handle our overwhelming pressure on my flank, and being divided as well caused a huge problems for the Papal States army.
Mighty Lord above, we have captured the enemy's general. That will teach
So there's
the
a desperate fight for survival in the centre now, as everyone fights to the death, hoping to break through the surround.
All civilized peoples will be awed by the victory we have won here today.
So yeah, there was the second battle of the sword and shield tactic. It was kind of a battle showcasing how to defeat the sword and shield. It's a very nice tactic, very useful, and if your opponents don't expect it, it is a very useful tactic to have. But at the same time, if your opponents do think it's going to happen, I mean, me and Lancelot, you had our suspicions, then you can just avoid the box completely and take out the other player and then deal with the box as required. It involves a lot of teamwork and a lot of skill, well, almost skill to use, because you've got to rely on the other player to really hit home the advantage. And I don't think that gaultieruzzo was in a position to defeat me with haste, as opposed to the last battle where, as England, I was able to get my cavalry into all sorts of fights and hit a few infantry units, and then my own heavy infantry was able to break through, and with minimal losses, and with the help of the Turkish cavalry, we established cavalry dominance quite quickly in that battle, whereas this one was more heavily in our favour. The cavalry was definitely in our favour in this battle. So yeah, the battlefield assassins proving their worth. This one got 133 kills, and these guys didn't lose too many men, I don't think. And even though they got low kills, they were, doing their part on the battlefield. Again, cavalry doing really well. Establishing cavalry dominance in these types of games is very important. So I think we did that quite well. My dismounted knights doing really well as well. My Pavia spearmen didn't do too great, but they were just to stop the enemy cav from doing too much damage and getting into cav fights as well. And then the Crow Axemen doing okay for their price. Not bad for the low quality infantry that they are. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this showcase on the sword and shield tactic. I'd like to see the tactic being used a bit more, but obviously be aware that it takes a lot of teamwork to use, and as you can see, it can be beaten. It's not invincible. But as I say, just trying out. I like seeing these new tactics and getting a chance to try them out, and yeah, it just gives more tactics and strategy to the game. So yeah, I do enjoy seeing these tactics, and I hope you guys can come up with your own for the battlefield someday. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you all on the next battlefield.